What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video, another day, another dollar with your boy. We're going to be breaking down our futures contract per usual. We're going to be looking at everything from Friday into today, as I've not obviously been making my videos as frequently, but we're going to break down everything from the top down. We're going to look at our larger time frame, monthly, weekly, daily time frame, look at our 30-minute time frame, update you guys on that. As far as my trading goes, been keeping it light, been keeping it simple. Today I only took one trade, and that was basically later in the day on this little bit of a pullback we began to have. I was just like, you know what, let's get in short. Looks like a good short opportunity. Looks like we were rejecting around the 37 to 40 level, or 37 to 50s level. So I was like, you know what, we'll get short. Came in, took off the trade. Was very happy with how that turned out. Very small size though. It was only a 2 lot of MES, so nothing too crazy. But nonetheless, still trying to keep it going, right? So let's go ahead and dive right into it. Let's go ahead and look at the larger time frame. Let's look at the monthly. Okay, so things have changed. Things have changed on our monthly time frame. Okay, things have begun to change on our largest time frame. We are officially back into a balance on the monthly. Okay, now our balance is just now forming, so we have until the end of this month to finish up the the balance range. So we could continue to keep on pulling back, but right now, as of right now, we would call it if we do not set any lower lows for the month of August, we would call it a 4-month balance using May's low from earlier this year. So we'd be using 50, 36 to 25. Okay, now that's a very large range from 50, 36, 25 to 57, 21, 25. Very, very large range, right? That's a 700-point range that we would be trading in. We've pulled our way back into what our previous balance was for our monthly time frame. Our previous balance looked something like this. We had slightly stretched it, and then we began one time framing up 2 months in a row, and we have taken back those 2 months, pulling back into that previous range between 53.67 and 49.61. So as of right now, our balance low, if we do not set any more lows for the month, will be 50.36.25. Now, buyers, they've gotten out of their positions, especially the long-term buyers. The moment we took out last month's low, really, way back up here at 54.32.50, once we took out that low, stops began to get ran on the larger time frame, which definitely caused this a little bit of liquidation. Now, with everything that's been going on in Japan as far as their economic data and rate hikes and everything, it's just rate cuts, etc., crypto, all that BS. All that news is just a bunch of noise. The reality is the market is coming back into a balance on a larger time frame. That's all it is. All right. Nothing major. Volume hasn't been extremely heavy. We haven't gone limit down. So there's no reason for people to be freaking out. If anything, this is an opportunity to find a price of something that you like, at a stock that you like, S&P, find an area that you like, buy for the long term, and begin to hold for that move back up, because at some point it will turn back up. But right now we are down on the 2 smaller time frames, the daily and the weekly, and then in the monthly we are just now coming back into a balance. Now things maybe get uglier come next month. If we take out a low, then we would be one time framing down, right? So as of right now, the monthly is just coming back into a balance. It's a very, very healthy pullback. No need to be freaking out over this pullback. All right, a lot of people are losing their heads about it. So monthly coming back into a balance, an initial 4-month balance using May's low as of right now. So if we were to make no lower lows for the month of August here, if we were to make no lower lows, this is what our monthly balance would be. And then obviously you could bring that up if you'd like, but for now I'm going to give it a little bit of room to breathe and use that 36 level as a balance low. All right, and then obviously that would be targets on the way down, continuing to pull back further. That would cause some more panic in the market for sure. Now let's look at the weekly. Okay, so we know our monthly is back into a balance. All right. Our weekly, on the other hand, our weekly has been very ugly over the last few weeks, right? Things began to change on the smaller time frame and then began to change on the second biggest, which is the weekly. And we've been one time framing down on the weekly time frame for 1, 2, 3 weeks in a row now. Big pullbacks on the weekly time frame so far. Very good pullback. Like I said, I believe this low right here, 36 would be your next weekly low target on the downside. And not only is that a weekly target on the downside, that is right around where the 20-day moving average is located, or not the 200-day moving average is located, right around that level. Right now it's hovering around 50.47. So 50.36, that previous monthly low, or that monthly low back from May, and then that weekly low that we're targeting from, back on that time. So weekly continues the one time frame down. Nothing changes until we take out a previous week's high. Okay. So this week, the only way we would stop the one time framing is if somehow miraculously we had a massive rally all the way back above 5,600. I don't see that happening. There are a couple gaps on the smaller time frame, such as our daily, that need to be taken back. We have multiple gaps on the upside that need to be taken back. Now, our daily's been one time framing down since we broke out of this balance that we slightly stretched, right? Looked like we were coming out of balance to the upside, was looking good, and then nasty little rejection here. We've been one time framing down since we gapped down on Friday. Been one time framing down 2 days in a row now. Pretty nasty looking move. Once again, volume's not crazy, but it is higher than average. And the ranges have been very, very good. So right now, we are just kind of looking like a falling knife towards that 200-day moving average. We've filled gaps on the downside. Like I said, at some point, those gaps would begin to get filled. We filled this gap right here. That was left from, I believe, the premium gap. I think that was the premium gap. And then we had a true gap there. So there's that gap that we got filled on the downside. And then we have another smaller gap that got filled from this between May, May 3rd and May 4th or May 6th, between that weekend where we gapped above the 50-day moving average. That gap is held for quite some time. We've just now filled that gap. There's only one more downside gap in the near term. Obviously, we have these gaps way back here, but in the near term, we only have one more gap on the downside that needs to be filled, and that is that gap starts at this daily low here, 51.2675, and it gets filled at the high of 5,150. Okay, and then that would implement the 200-day moving average being right around that range if we were to fill that gap. Now we do have gaps on the upside that have been created. We have this gap here that we'll look to fill at some point in time. We have this gap here that we look to fill at some point in time. And then we had a gap here that did get filled. We have one more gap way up here near the highs. So question is, do we just fill this gap? Is this all the sellers want to do? Fill the gap, get to the 200-day moving average, find a nice buying opportunity, rotate back up prior to the elections, get back above the 100-day moving average, get back above the 50-day moving average. That would be very positive for the market. However, everything kind of curling over does not look so healthy in the meantime. Whenever we had this pullback here, whenever we had this pullback here, it was about a 6% pullback to the downside, about 331 points. I think we've exceeded that pretty good. This pullback so far has been about 10%, but year to date, we've had a really good run up for the year. So nice little pullbacks and profit taking prior to the elections coming up, especially with the uncertainty across the globe economically, right? For me, that doesn't matter, but in the bigger picture, that's what we're looking at. Monthly balance, weekly down, daily down, looking to test the 200-day moving average at some point in time. Now, here's our 30-minute time frame, 30-minute profile that we've been, obviously looking at over the last several years. You can see the gaps kind of in between here. You can see how today we got very close to that 200-day moving average, right there around 51.17. is what we're showing on um, the U contract, not the continuous contract. Continuous contract's 50.47. The U contract is right here at 51.17. So we're gotten very close to it. So somewhere between 51.17 and 50.47, we'll find some type of support in that range, you would think, with what the 200-day moving average is looking at. Now, there's been a pretty ugly pullback as far as some times, right? We had some consolidation here, but over the last several days, we've been pouring down pretty good with some good extension. Now, one thing that might be showing the trend slowing a little bit is we've had good ranges, right? We've had good ranges. We had a double distribution day back on Friday. We had a good distribution day on that Thursday, right? Gap down, double distribution, gap down. Today, we did not have a trend day down. We did not have a strong trend day down. Instead, we had what seemed to be some short covering after the gap, right? We kind of ate into the gap, pushed on up, looked like a little bit of a short covering. Looks like a P shape for short covering. Whereas over the last 2 days, we've had a little bit of a B shape for long liquidation, P shape for short covering. Today, we go out with just today's low and high with a NIY point of control right here at 52.34.25. So with this P shape, what we'll be looking for tomorrow is maybe we have an inside day, unchanged value, and then we begin to at some point come back into a balance, grinding back upward. But until we take out a previous day's high, we will continue to one time frame down, right? That does not stop until we take out a high. So we have to take out 52.79.50, take back the gap a little bit in order for the one time framing down on the daily to stop. Now we can continue to pull on back, and I have no more downside destinations. 51.46 is today's low. Then we have the 200-day moving average and those weekly destinations I gave you. That 50.36.25 level would be your next downside destination as far as a major level. On the upside, we do have a magnet up here from Friday. We have 53.61.50, a 10Y point of control there. We'd like to find some acceptance, right? If you're a buyer, you want to get back into that lower distribution there and then begin to eat away at all these upside destinations that we have. Okay, so it's going to take a lot of work on our daily and in our smaller time frames in order for us to kind of regain some traction. But as right now, sellers are in control and remain in control until things begin to change on our smaller time frame. And then from there, they begin to change on their daily, and then from there they got to change on the weekly. Okay, so it's going to take a lot of work for these buyers to kind of regain their footing. But right now, nice little healthy pullback as of right now for the sellers. Break of the 200-day moving average would pull us back even further and make things look uglier in the short term. But in the long term, I do think this is a healthy pullback, and just moving forward, I think it's going to be a good thing that we do have this pullback. Just real quick, I'll look at SPY. Let's look at the daily. Today's volume was 145 million. Average volume's been about 50 million. So we did a lot of extra volume today. So very, very interesting. And with all that volume being done, to not have a trend day down, pretty interesting in my opinion. So was this buyers stepping into this market? Was shorts getting out, right? If you were a short, somebody that shorted around the 55 level, 555, right? And you're covering your shares down at around 517. I mean, you gained about $40 per share, right? And even in the ES, when you covered, you've gained a significant amount. You're in the money about 600 points here. 400 points in the money. So really interesting how today's volume was higher than average, and we did not go trend down. We did not take out the overnight low. We did not take out our IB low. Instead, we had a little bit of short covering, grind it up in a non-wide point of control. So tomorrow, once again, I'm looking to see if we get above 52.34.25, hold above it. We take out 79.50, and then we target 53.31.75. Not going to be easy, but it is possible that sellers are starting to tire a little bit here. But, you know, this is all speculation, no genius. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all have a wonderful day. We'll catch you guys in the next one. See you.